part of the talk is already, or the ground for the talk is already set when we made a remark that the iPhone is a distractor. And I think post-COVID, there have been a lot of debate around how technology is impacting the education. What I'll do is I'll just flip through some of the slides and then we probably can start some discussion around what each one think about artificial intelligence and education. The objectives of my talk will be to talk about, to look back and understand how technology has influenced our daily lives as well as education. And then talk about what are the fears or the apprehensions about the generative AI and education. Share with you some of the thoughts on pros and cons, and then if we have to live in this world where AI is going to be a reality, what are some of the things that we can do to prepare ourselves adopting in this new world full of artificial intelligence. And I think if you look at this slide, you will see that we definitely have been benefited from technology advances. I don't know how many of you lived in villages. In my early childhood days, to travel from train station to the university campus, which was 10 kilometers distance, we used to take at times the bullock or the camel cart, because I was in Rajasthan, and it used to take almost 3 hours to reach home. There was only one bus plying between railway stations. Our lives have changed. Today, in 3 hours, you can cover 300 kilometers without much difficulty. Think about the clothing industry and this huge revolution in clothing industry as an example. How many of you wrote on these taktis in your childhood? I did it. And today if you ask me to write even on a paper, I find very, very difficult. You are so tuned on writing on the laptops. I'm sure we are seeing AI in this perspective, and after a few years we all will become very, very comfortable in using and making best use of even in education. My belief is the technology continues to be an enabler in every aspect of our life, some with our knowledge and other even without our knowledge. How many of you wrote thesis sitting in the library? I did it, and it was so painful to go through the books, journals, keep cribbing every day, cursing the professor when he or she is going to check. Today everything is available on the media, and you can just download pages and pages without having to go through the pain of sitting in the library. I still remember one day I scolded librarian who was pushing me out of the library because time was over. I am sure the next generation will not know how to use pen and pencil. The day is not very far off. We all have seen how technology enabled continuity of education in the COVID time. But despite all of this and the benefits that we have seen in the education fraternities, there is a debate going on whether an online mode of classes was better or the offline mode of classes is better. You search on, you will find multiple articles, including some of the management schools are debating on what should be the best format of education. And in October, when generative AI was launched, the debate became even more heated because there were fears among educators that this is going to change the whole perspective of how the student will use generative AI versus how we are going to prepare them from the threats of generative AI. The propagators of artificial intelligence are saying us that using generative AI in education is like having a robot as your companion, who cannot bring you coffee when you are tired, but can help you print 10 pages of your lecture in 5 minutes. So you may not need even the coffee to relax. But despite all of those, I think all of us sitting in this room are very apprehensive about this new tool and the way we are going to see students coming out or using it in our system. And this slide summarizes some of the thought. There are ethical concerns. There are concerns about how are we preparing our students for the future. And we already saw the debate that students are not bothered about education. They are not motivated. Nobody can excite them. All of these are the current fears of using AI. So how many of you in the hall feel that AI is going to be beneficial in our education system? How many of you feel it is going to even further reduce students' attention and effort? Nobody. So all are optimistic. My talk is done. Now there are several advantages. I'll quickly go through because I think they just give you some idea. I'm sure all of you. Access of information is going to be at the tip of finger. You just need an internet. You go to any GenAI portal, type your question, and whatever literature has been used to generate that, it will compile all and give you, you want 1-page summary, you want 10-page thesis on it, it will be ready in no time. So I am sure that going through the pain of looking at different journals, searching the topic will become even easier. At present, while you can use PubMed or Google, the generative AI is going to make it even faster than what we are saying. Most of the learners will use AI for personalizing their learning. If there are certain way that they want to learn a topic, they are going to be using that. And AI is also going to study how a learner is learning, what are the topics they are browsing, what are the common methods that they are using. If you keep looking at the images, charts, the AI will constantly feed you with the charts and pictures. If you look at text most of the time, the AI will push text to you. So in some way, the students will be using artificial intelligence for more personalized learning. It will also facilitate collaborative learning opportunities. I think the people, for example, Google Share is one of the ways in which people are using. I'm sure with the AI, it will be even more easier to use your text and get the input from the collaborators, from the other partners, and improve overall learning experience. Part of our work as educator will be taken care by the AI. You need not prepare the class roster. You need not prepare all of that will be done over a period of time by using artificial intelligence. And you will have much more time at your hand to really look at the educational content. Probably the quality of content generation will be much better. Today, if Pranesh technique I use, I will struggle. I am sure after some time, if I get mastery of generative AI, that tool will provide me all these PowerPoint slides, use annotation, and then keep on interactivity, which at present we have to learn. But I am sure that I think the content generation will become. The other advantage as educator will be you will generate huge amount of data for each learner. And you will be very objective when you say a student is not progressing well versus they are progressing well. But there are cautions that are required. While the whole field look very exciting, there are some threats. I think we all have seen the benefit of mentor-mentee relationship and how it not only provide you educational content but transform lives. And that personalized learning experience will disappear with the artificial. Artificial intelligence does not have that. We have also seen the digital distractions. When we participate in webinar, after certain time you immediately look at your messages, your emails and all of that. They are very easy distractions. I think one of the major fear that most educators have, the critical thinking will go away. How many of you have experienced that in earlier era you remembered all the phone numbers? Today if you ask me my wife's phone number, I probably will fumble. Don't convey that message to her, she is going to kill me. I think when you start using less of the mental power, the ability for you to exercise that in real life diminishes. And I think evolution has taught us that how much problem you face, you try to find solution to them and start becoming better. But if the solutions are given by machine, then that capability is going to go away. The cyber security risk, already there is a significant increase in the cyber security. And now you can think if the machine start looking at your behavior, the machine will also pick up your vulnerability. And that is going to cause significant threat to the next generation of learners. Since we already talked about majority of them are sleep deprived, there are many other health related risks that are coming which are related to the posture, their behavior, and all other concerns are there. Now those who have access to technology will continue to get educated more, but what about those who are not having access to technology? So haves and have not, the gap will keep on widening, and we probably will be creating a society which will be very fragmented, and that will cause its own problem. And that's what is another concern educators have. And the last point, Helena said that we do not know what source that AI tool is built on. And if they are not built on reliable sources, the generative AI will develop content based on whatever resource you have put into. And therefore reliability and biases can influence a lot of that. So consider AI integration thoughtfully with a focus on enhancing educational experience rather than complete replacement of existing situation. And therefore we need to make ourselves ready. First integrate or accept that we need to all learn the nuances of machine learning and artificial. Our curriculum should have some content related to AI so that your learners can be made aware of what this technology is. And I'll also extend that we should also participate in some research so that we can generate evidences which are relevant to our society. We should collaborate with some of the technology industries so that we can get input from them rather than just limited to the healthcare professional. It's a very technology intensive area. And we should also have in our organization some of the ethical kind of guidelines so that the students can be guided accordingly. With that, I think what I'll say is that we should embrace AI as a tool. We have always embraced different type of technology. It is an exciting opportunity. Yes, there are concerns, but I am sure over a period of time, we will be able to find solutions to those concerns as well. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Prashant, for giving us a glimpse into the future. This is, of course, a very, very hot and relevant topic, open for discussion. We are running just a little behind schedule, no worries. I take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Parikshit, and again a very excellent lecturer and researcher, and our young educator, Dr. Rolika, come all the way from United States, in the middle of her fellowship. Welcome to you as well. Let's discuss flipped classroom. Any thoughts? Would you do it? And what about your thoughts on AI? Dr. Ashwin.
So I just had one open question that, now AI can generate an abstract for you, an article for you. So would you allow it? Because on the face of it, what student would have taken 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, he's coming back in a day. So what do you think?
No, I think without effort, if a content is just copy pasted from the generative AI tool, is not going to help them, and that is unacceptable. But I think if that same thing is given as an exercise for finding answer to the question and then added to some activity that they have to do on their own, they will not only learn how to use the generative AI, but they will use it constructively. So I know I am little diplomatic, but we will have to slowly start adopting to it.
That means natural stupidity is better than artificial intelligence. No, sir, I just slightly disagree with what you said. I thought AI will provide a level playing field. You said it's going to widen the gulf. I would rather say it's actually an equal opportunity, because it's not very cost intensive. It probably gives an opportunity for everyone to access information. Would it be that way?
I think while all of us look from the perspective of where we are today, the COVID era, the students who had very poor internet, no access to computers, completely lagged behind in their education. Do you think the person or the company who is creating generative AI will give it free of cost? I am sure after some time it will have cost added. Those who can afford those costs will get a better resource as compared to those who are not able to. We are seeing that divide in our society widening. Unless the government take very serious actions on these, the divide in the education, which is our fundamental right, is in my opinion not a good in the betterment of the society. I still feel that AI also is going to widen that.
Knowledge and wisdom are two different things. You can get all the knowledge at a click of a button very rapidly. Unless critical inputs have gone into building that, that is where the deficit will lie. So wisdom has been defined as what is left after what has been learned in education has been forgotten. So it's the process of developing that critical sense, being able to analyze things, being able to put them in perspective, which is what is going to be lacking. So both have to be combined. That's where the role of educators comes in. That when AI comes in, we merge it so well with the critical thinking, with analysis of that and putting it in the right way, so that the education continues.
Just wanted to make 2 points. First is, while we may think that we cannot permit AI in education, we are still not at a stage where we can develop another generative AI which can discriminate between AI generated content and not. It is, but not at the level of granularity with which it can absolutely differentiate new data versus data that has been prompted very, very well. For example, abstracts. Now you mentioned one place where I use AI in writing abstracts is when you have the same data set. Now obviously the AI is not going to go through your Excel sheet, come up with your conclusions, do a data analysis. You would have to do that yourself unless you've paid for and gotten it done through somewhere else. Now you've come up with your conclusions. Now AIOS website says 1,000 characters with spaces. The AAO website for the abstract submission allows you 1,000 words. So putting in all this data there and telling them, okay, can you come up with an abstract that is 1,000 characters with spaces, and then using that abstract. Now, the data is true, it's genuine, the conclusions are genuine. Can that abstract be rejected by saying that it's AI generated? So So, where the line begins and where it ends is getting blurred.
So the definition of plagiarism is becoming more and more wider. And I think there was this debate generated when some of the papers write generative AI as one of the authors. So I think we are entering in that era where these questions are going to. My son, who is doing his MD, recently told me that he put the data on certain platform and the entire page on the result was written. So imagine, that's where the worries are, that will the student learn how to write the result section? If there are those tools, he said all the graphs were made, all the tables were made. So yes, I'm not saying that we should all just go gaga about it. There are concerns, and there are serious concerns. And they are centered around how many capabilities you want to build in your learner, and whether those capabilities will be built by asking them to go through that activity, or they can just copy paste from the generative AI and lose all the